She worked harder than almost everyone she knew. Longer hours, more effort, less rest. And still, her life barely moved. If you looked at her from the outside, you would think she was doing everything right. She woke up early. She stayed late. She said yes when others said no. She carried responsibility like a badge of honor. Yet every night, when the noise of the day finally faded, there was a quiet, uncomfortable question that refused to leave her alone. If I keep doing this, will anything ever change? Her name was Clara. She was 27 years old, and she was exhausted in a way sleep never seemed to fix. Clara lived in a city that never really slowed down. Even at night the streets hummed softly, as if the world was always preparing for the next demand. She worked as a junior marketing coordinator for a growing tech company. On paper, it was a good job. Stable, respectable, full of opportunities. In reality, it meant endless tasks, tight deadlines, and the constant pressure to prove herself. She arrived before most people. She left after many. She answered emails during lunch. She carried her laptop home just in case. When something went wrong, she fixed it. When something went right, she moved on to the next thing without pause. Her managers described her as reliable. Her coworkers called her dedicated. Her family said she should be proud. And yet, Clara felt stuck. Not dramatically stuck. Not in crisis. Just paused, as if her life was running on a treadmill set slightly too fast to step off, but too slow to take her anywhere meaningful. At night, she lay in bed scrolling through her phone, watching videos about productivity, discipline, and success. She listened to podcasts promising clarity and freedom. She read posts about hustle and grind and doing what others won't. She told herself she was learning, preparing, investing in herself, but deep down, she knew the truth. She was too tired to apply any of it. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Her savings barely grew. Her role barely changed. Her energy slowly drained. She wasn't failing, but she wasn't progressing either. And that, somehow, felt worse. Clara often thought the problem was effort. Maybe she wasn't working hard enough. Maybe she needed to push more, sacrifice more, sleep less. That's what everyone around her seemed to believe. Hard work was the answer to everything, so she doubled down. She volunteered for extra projects. She stayed late, even when no one asked. She took on responsibilities outside her role. She said yes automatically, afraid that saying no would make her invisible. Her calendar filled. Her mind stayed busy. Her body kept moving. Her life stayed the same. One evening, after another long day, Clara missed her usual train and had to wait almost 30 minutes for the next one. She stood on the platform watching people pass, some rushing, some relaxed, some lost in thought. Everyone looked tired. Everyone looked busy. She realized something unsettling. Almost everyone here is working hard. So why do only some lives seem to move forward? That question followed her home. That night, she sat at her small kitchen table with her laptop open, staring at unfinished work. Her eyes burned. Her shoulders ached. Her thoughts felt heavy. She closed the laptop without finishing. Not out of rebellion, out of emptiness. She went to bed earlier than usual. Not because she was disciplined, but because she had nothing left. And for the first time in a long time, she woke up before her alarm. It was 5:12 a.m. The city outside was quiet in a way she rarely experienced. No notifications, no emails, no expectations. Just a faint glow from the streetlights and the sound of distant traffic. Clara lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling something unfamiliar. Space! Her first instinct was to grab her phone, to fill the silence, to check messages, scroll headlines, consume something. She stopped herself, not because she had a plan, but because something about that quiet felt important. She got out of bed and made coffee. Slowly, she sat by the window wrapped in a sweater, watching the city wake up. For once, The day hadn't started without her consent. And in that stillness, a thought surfaced, not loudly, but clearly. I'm always building, but never when it actually matters. At first, she didn't understand what that meant. She spent the rest of the day as usual. Meetings, tasks, deadlines. But the thought stayed with her, quietly repeating itself in the background. That evening, instead of scrolling late into the night, Clara went to bed early again. Not out of motivation, out of curiosity. The next morning, she woke up at 5:15 a.m. Her body protested immediately. Every excuse appeared at once. You're tired. You deserve rest. This won't change anything. She almost listened. But then she remembered how trapped she felt waiting on that train platform, how heavy her life had become. Despite all the effort, she got up. Those first mornings were uncomfortable. The apartment felt unfamiliar at that hour. The silence was almost loud. She didn't know what to do with the time. Some mornings, she just sat there, coffee in hand, staring into nothing. But slowly, she began to notice something. Her mind was clearer than it ever was at night. There were no messages demanding replies, no problems to solve for other people, no pressure to perform. Her attention finally belonged to her. At first, she tried doing the same things she did at night, watching videos, reading articles, consuming content. It felt pointless, distracting, empty. So she stopped. Instead, she asked herself a simple question. If my energy is limited, when does it actually belong to me? The answer was obvious now. Not after work. Not late at night. Not when she was already drained. It was here, in these quiet hours, before the world reached for her. Clara decided to protect that time. No announcements. No big goals. Just a decision made quietly and repeated the next day. She chose one thing to build. Not a dream, not a fantasy. A skill. Something adjacent to her work, but deeper, more strategic. Something that required thinking, not reacting. She found a structured course, not motivational, not inspiring, just practical, clear, demanding. The first week was hard. Her body resisted waking up early. Her mind wandered. She doubted whether this mattered at all. But she stayed. An hour passed faster than she expected. Sometimes, too, when it was time to leave for work, she felt something strange. She wasn't energized. She was grounded. Her job didn't change immediately. The office was the same. The tasks were the same. The pressure remained. But Clara was different. She noticed patterns she had never seen before. She understood why certain campaigns failed, why decisions stalled, why problems repeated themselves. She wasn't smarter than anyone else. She just wasn't exhausted anymore when it counted. Weeks passed. Then months. She still worked hard during the day, but her best energy no longer belonged to her job. It belonged to her growth. And that changed everything. One morning, during a team discussion, a recurring issue came up. Everyone complained about the same problem they'd been complaining about for months. Delays, misalignment, inefficiency. Clara spoke up. Not loudly, not confidently, just clearly. She explained what she had noticed. How a small shift in timing and structure could eliminate most of the issue. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply explaining what made sense to her now. The room went quiet. Her manager asked a question, then another, then said, "Let's try it." The change worked. No applause, no immediate reward, but something internal shifted. Clara realized she was no longer invisible to herself, and that mattered more than recognition. Over time, her role began to change subtly. She was asked for input more often, trusted with decisions, included earlier in conversations. Not because she worked harder, because she was building at the right time. Months later, when she looked back, The transformation felt almost quiet. There was no single dramatic moment, no overnight success, no announcement, just a steady accumulation of clarity, confidence, and control. Clara understood something now that she hadn't before. Hard work wasn't the problem. Timing was. She had been giving her best hours to survival, to maintenance, to other people's priorities. Her future had been left with whatever energy remained. And that was never enough. Most people make the same mistake. They believe progress requires more effort, more motivation, more pressure. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mood, the perfect break. But life doesn't change when pressure increases. It changes when ownership does. You don't need to wake up early to succeed. You don't need to follow someone else's routine. You don't need to work less or escape responsibility. But you do need a protected window in your day where your future matters more than your survival. For some, it's early morning. For others, it's late at night. The hour doesn't matter. The timing does. Clara didn't become extraordinary. She became intentional. She stopped postponing herself. She stopped confusing exhaustion with progress. She stopped building her life at the end of the day when nothing good could grow. And now, this story turns to you. If you work hard but feel stuck, if your days are full but unproductive, if you're exhausted but unchanged, ask yourself one honest question. When am I building my future with real energy, not leftovers? If the answer is never, that's not failure. That's awareness. And awareness is where change begins. If this story resonated with you, write in the comments what part of your day you know you need to protect, even if you haven't yet. If you found value here, like this video, so it reaches someone who's working hard but building at the wrong time. And if you want more stories like this about ordinary people creating extraordinary direction through quiet, disciplined choices, subscribe to this channel. Remember this, your life won't change when you work harder. It will change when you finally choose the right moment to build it. And the most important work you will ever do happens when the world isn't asking anything from you.